Where does success come from for real estate agents? We always ask this question, and most of the time we look inside of the industry, which there's nothing wrong with. But when we open our minds to looking outside of our own industry and look into some other industries, which in many cases are right in our own backyard for what we're doing, we start to learn things about ourselves and our businesses that we can implement into our real estate business. I'm the modern agent, Jeff Ruby. Welcome to Jeff Ruby Live, where we work with real estate agents to help them launch, build, and scale profitable businesses. And we are going live today with a really special guest. Before we do that, I just want to ask you, if you are joining us today and you've been here before, say hello. Let me know that you're in the chat box. Say hi. Let us know that you're here. I want to welcome you back to another episode. Let me know. And also, for those of you who are brand new, you've never been here before, you've never watched the show, go ahead and type new down in the box as well, in the chat box. Let me know. I also want to let you guys know that at any time here, you can fast forward to the 5-minute mark, where we will get started, get right into the show. But I wanted to make sure that I was reaching out to our audience, say hello to you guys, welcome you back to another week. I'm super excited for today's show, because we're going to get off the beaten path a little bit with very specific stuff as far as your business and your sales. So let me know that you are out there. Say hello. Let me know also if you have any questions or you have any comments whatsoever. If you're not currently subscribing to the channel here, I'm going to post the link here in just a second for you guys to follow and subscribe to the Modern Agent Live to help you with your businesses. That's what this show is all about, you guys, to help you either get started, move what you're already started into the next phase, and then, of course, also help you scale. We're going to talk about scaling today, like scaling a roof, but maybe not just scaling the roof, maybe more so scaling the business side of being an entrepreneur. So let me know you guys are out there. So definitely subscribe to the channel. One more thing, if you haven't gotten your copy of the Modern Agent Live launch guide, I highly recommend that you go do that. Go to modernteambuilders.com. The link is down below, and I will also share all of these links down in the comment section for the in the chat. Obviously, you can see, but every link that I share today that Bobby and I talk about will also be in the comment section there, so you can always refer back to that. So that's what we got here. What else? What else? New agents, or if you're thinking about getting your real estate license, I have a great program for you. You can get your license in 6 weeks or less. We just had somebody go through. He actually did it in 5 weeks. Great course. It's through Van Ed. It's through our partnership. Raving reviews. They have the highest success and pass rate. They have a year guarantee, money back guarantee, all this great stuff to allow you to get your license. And I have a scholarship program that goes along with it. So make sure and take advantage of that. Get your real estate license. It's a great time. The end of the year, there's a lot of agents who are really burying their head in the sand. We see it every year from Thanksgiving until about the Super Bowl. So now's a great time. Spend some time, get your license before the end of the year, get started, and live the life that you want. Make some money, but you're going to learn a lot of great stuff today. So we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. Do we have anybody in the house, in the house chatting? I don't see anybody. Woody, where is everybody today? I know it's Wednesday. Thanksgiving's right around the corner, but we're going to get started here in about 5 seconds. So here we go. We'll get started in 5, 4, 3. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Jeff Ruby Live, where we work with real estate agents to help them become successful through say that 10 times fast, successful through working through other entrepreneurs and learning the skills, the strategies, the tactics that entrepreneurs, potentially in real estate, sometimes not in real estate, to help you build, scale, and in some cases, launch your real estate business. So I am super happy today to bring in Mr. Brightside. I have a good buddy of mine, Bobby Jones is here. I'm going to let you tell your story, Bobby. Mr. Brightside.
Hey, what's up,
Who are you?
everybody? Thank you.
Who are you?
Hey, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you, man. And it's an honor to be here on the Jeff Ruby Show for sure. It's interesting because when people ask me to introduce myself, I typically introduce myself as an underdog entrepreneur. And what I mean by that is I started out as a foster kid, became a troublemaker, went from being a troublemaker to an inmate in prison, and learned my lesson, had a miracle happen in court, and came home to rebound and redeem myself through a ton of energy and effort. And so I have redeemed myself by building a seven-figure business. We built our roofing business up to $5 million a year gross revenue. And that's where we stand today. I'm actually really heavily involved in our real estate community here in Delaware. My wife's a real estate agent, and I've been mentored by some really successful real estate agents as well. So, as well as mentoring some real estate agents themselves. And so I'm happy of a show, and I'm happy to be a member on it. So thank you, my friend.
You betcha. You betcha. For those of you who are watching live, or if you're watching the replay, my apologies for bouncing all over. I wanted to get us both on the screen, and so when you go live, it's one of those things that we have to be flexible, right? Right, Bobby?
That's right. That's right. I was enjoying the show. I was moving around looking like one of those old puzzles that you had back in the day where the picture had to line up with the other one. But that was fun. It was cool. And hopefully they stayed through that part because we got a heck of a show in store for them.
Yes, yes, we do. So, Bobby, you tapped into a little bit about your background. You almost like were able to sum up your entire life story in 30 seconds, which you guys, if you're watching, you really need to do that. I talk all the time about being your true authentic self, and also in some cases being vulnerable. So you are who you are. Let's back up a little bit, because I think it's really important for real estate agents to understand that in order for our businesses to grow, they'll grow to the level that we do. And in all cases, we have to really figure out who we are. And I know that you have figured out who you are, but what was it like going through everything you did to really figure out like who you are and what you can share with the world?
Oh man, yeah, it was a heck of a challenge, you find, it's funny because as I went through some of the struggles that I talked about a minute ago, there was always this gut feeling in me that said that I was going to do something great, but I had suppressed that based on the logic and data and my experiences and the history of my behavior. And so I had suppressed this feeling. And so when I finally got the opportunity to do something great, I was like, okay, this is where this starts. I've got to really bust my ass and bust my butt. I don't know if this is okay for that, but
You bust your ass, your butt. You got to
yeah,
bust something.
I busted up a lot on the way. So, but for me, it was all about wanting to give back, wanting to contribute in many different ways. And so, I think one of the things that was important for me to understand along the way is that you have to love the process. Because I never woke up one day and was like, you know what, I'm going to own a roofing business. I just knew that I wanted to help people, and I knew that at the time when I started the business, I knew that I could help them through roofing. And that might sound crazy, but when I decided to give back to my community, we partnered with Habitat for Humanity. We were able to donate 4 roofs per year, using the vehicle of roofing to contribute back to my community. And so for me, it was about loving the process and understanding that no matter where you're at in the process, right, wherever you are at this moment, it plays a very important role in where you're going. And so love that, love what you're doing today. It might not be where you want to be, but that's okay. Love that, love the role that it's playing. As long as you have a clear enough vision, you can fall in love with that part in the process.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's a lot of different things that we could absolutely unpack, and we're going to uncover some of that as we go. Why roofing? So what were you doing before roofing? And then because roofing, the reason I bring this up, guys, is like you see Mr. Brightside, you see the Extra Mile podcast in the back, which by the way, you guys definitely follow the Extra Mile podcast. Like What were you doing before that? And because it was the catalyst to everything, right? The roofing company? Wasn't that the first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's, I go by Mr. Brightside because the name of my roofing company is Brightside Exteriors. And so, it was the catalyst. And so, what's super interesting, and I joke about this all the time, I've talked to you about this. I own a roofing company. At one point, I don't know where we are this year, but we've done about 300 roofs per year. And so, I own that roofing company. We built it to seven figures, but I have never done a roof in my life. So,
Yeah, right.
I've never replaced a roof. I think on one job very early on, I like banged some shingles onto a mailbox like that needed shingles or like a
Right.
well, like a little decorative well thing. But I've never replaced a roof, never been on a roof replacing a roof before. I've done tons of inspections on them, but never replaced the roof. So, I think that we oftentimes underqualify ourselves and eliminate us from possibility in some situations. I didn't do that. I had gotten a job with a roofing company selling roofing. And it was my first exposure to full commission sales. And it changed my life, Jeff. I mean, for the first time ever in a legal position, I could work hard this week and get a better check next week. And so it was a very eye opening moment for me because I then understood entrepreneurship. I understood that like the art of ownership, and knowing, if I do this week, I'll get next week. If I don't do this week, guess what? I won't get next week and this year and next year and all those things. So for me, the roofing industry was being shorted by way of quality. There's a lot of people out here with the goal of being the cheapest roofers. And I said, you know what? That's not what we're going to do. We're going to be the best. And by being the best, my service, my value, what we bring to the table as a company will determine the price. And so I aimed at being the best roofer we could be in this area. And we have been that. And price was the least important part of our sales every single time. So we built a company around the quality and the value of being the best in our industry.
Yeah, that way it doesn't turn into a pricing competition. It turns into a value competition
That's
because
right.
people are willing to pay the price for value because when you look at it more of an investment and it's an experience. Plus a roof is it's a big deal. We all need to have one.
Yep.
It's a shame that there's so many people nowadays that don't. So the role that you play in that regard is definitely good on the roofing side of things. So it was actually funny when we were putting the word out about the show this week. Somebody had I don't know if you saw that. It was like a comment like hasn't been on a roof, and I
Yeah.
believe you replied, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. It was one of my buddies here in Delaware. He actually we did his roof on for his mom's house, and so he was like, "You've never been on a roof," and I was like, "I've never replaced a roof myself." And I think he knew that, but I think he was like, "Wait, what?" So, but it is cool, And one of the other things, like going back to quality over price, what you learn through the selling, what you learn when you go into sales is that price is the least important part of the selling process. It truly, really is. And to tie that to real estate, I have a friend here who has a brokerage here that my wife's an agent at his brokerage, and they have an admin fee to deal with them as a brokerage that none of the other brokerages have. And so what's funny is nobody ever questions it. It's like $495. That's just like an admin fee that they charge for their processor or whatever. And nobody ever questions it. Nobody ever says, no, I'm not paying that. Even though most of the other brokerages don't have that, nobody ever questions it at all. And so, when you're bringing enough value, people won't question what you're charging for because there's a reason why you're charging for it.
Yeah, yeah, value. Definitely. Value, value, value. All right. So let's talk about where you've moved. So you started the roofing business and it's called Mr. Brightside, right?
The roofing business is called Brightside Exteriors, and
Brightside
I
Exterior. So it started with Brightside Exteriors. And
correct,
this
yeah,
was your baby. It still is your
yes.
roofing business. But and how long have you had it?
We started that business in 2013, so a little over 7 years.
Okay, so 7 years, which in the big picture of building a business is not that old.
No, no, no,
right?
not at all. I mean, I'm 35, so it's only so long that I could have had a business myself, but at the same time, yeah, and I'm very that's one thing I will say, man, I'm very conscious of the mortality of my business, my success, everything like that. Like, all this could be gone in the blink of an eye. And so, one of the things that's played into my success and will play into my future successes is the power of relationships. And, you don't nurture relationships properly if you're not treating everybody accordingly and correctly. You treat the janitor the same way that you treat the CEO. And I truly believe in that from the bottom of my heart, that you never know where those relationships will come back and impact your life later. And just, treat people right. So anyway,
Yeah. No, it's great. I mean, we talk about this all the time in real estate. It's a contact sport.
mm,
What do we mean? Like, no, don't go tackle somebody, right? Don't
right.
go dunk up in somebody's face unless that's what you're out there playing sports. Absolutely get after it. But what we mean
Yes.
by a contact sport is it's a relationship business,
100%.
right? Now, you mentioned something before about, this is where I learned to be an entrepreneur when you were selling roofs, right? Did you become an entrepreneur, or did you learn sales and marketing before you went, wait a minute, I have an entrepreneurial spirit, which is now what is focused on what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's funny that that word entrepreneur does get thrown around so much. And,
Gosh, we were yeah. I mean, it's like it's great, and we are, but it does get thrown around.
and
What does
there's
it
so
mean?
many,
You
yeah, and
know?
there's so many parts to running, successful businesses. And, part of that is understanding that you can't do it all, right? And so when you do leverage correctly, you understand that, okay, I said that, I had an entrepreneurial spirit, and, I kind of got that entrepreneurial feel at that time in the sales position. But you're right, my talents and my skills were always in marketing and selling and training salespeople. And, I can outline a process very well, but I might not be the most organized and systematic person out there. So it's important that I have organized and systematic people around me. And so, one of my director of operations at Brightside is, I'm a high DI on the disc assessment. He's a high SC. Now we go way deeper than that, but the reality is what I lack, he has, and so that's what it takes. It takes, this is a people business. We're all in the people business, right? And at the end of the day, we have to know how to put the right people around us. It also means to, to believe in the people that are around you and empower them properly. Now, in the real estate game, you got a lot of solopreneurs. I mean, it really is a lot of people that are going after this on their own. And so, it's important to make sure that they understand that the leverage of relationships doesn't mean that they have to have employees or assistants or anything like that. You can leverage relationships through strategic partnerships. You can have outsourcing companies for, people talk about video editing and outsourcing that all the time. There's a lot that you can outsource through, tons of other opportunities. The opportunities are plentiful in 2021 to outsource. And so, for me, it's really important for us as entrepreneurs or as real estate agents to understand our strengths and keep our efforts and energies in those places.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so true because a lot of times we want to be everyone to everybody, and we just can't do that. And when we're in a I don't like to call real estate a sales business. Those of you guys who have watched enough of my videos, or you train and you coach with me, you've worked with me, like it's not we're not selling anything. We're marketers, and we have to understand like our branding, which we'll get into with Brightside, but also like what is our messaging? Like, what do we really want to do, and who are the people that we want to be around? Because those relationships, you never know what that's going to turn into. So going from the roofing business, which you still have, and it's still cranking 7, 8 years later, right?
Yes, sir.
What was next? And what was that like mindset going around like, all right, I have a roofing business. What am I going to add to it?
Yeah, so it's interesting, I don't know if I ever really had thought about it that way. What happened was I got involved with some relationship networking groups, right? And so, a lot of us do this, right? We get
Yeah, go
involved.
figure. What were we just talking about?
Yeah. And it worked. I grew my business quickly off of that. And one day, I was sitting at lunch with the guy that owned it, and I was actually talking to him about real estate investments. And he said to me, you should buy Master Networks from me, which is the region that I have here in Delaware, Maryland, right? And so it was funny because I was involved in it, but I was like, no, 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 I'm good, man. I literally told him no at the lunch, Jeff, and I was like, I've got enough on my plate. But then later that same evening, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, I'm already more involved than this guy is, and he owns it. So
Huh.
like, my efforts were already aligned so well, and it complemented it so well that I said, okay, let's do this. And so I became the regional partner of Master Networks Delaware, Maryland back in 2000, and I think it was 2017 or 2018. And so, because those businesses complemented each other, building one built the other, building the other built the other, so they had a great synergy between the two of them, and it allowed me to market my business while growing another. And so what was interesting about that was I also was in the real estate investment area. A lot of my friends, family, were, well, more friends than family, but they were in the real estate investment area. And so, naturally you become the sum of the five people that you hang around the most. And so because I was hanging around a lot of real estate investors, I became a real estate investor. And so in 2017, I purchased my first investment property and started renting that out. And then I got into, buy and holds, buy and sells. And so, again, what was super important about these ventures were that they were aligned with my current efforts. So I always tell people, especially when they're thinking about adding to what they're already doing, like, listen, if you have a roofing business, it might not be the best to go start a shoe company or, start a restaurant, because the only commonality you have there is that you eat at the restaurant and you wear shoes, you know,
Right.
they're not really as aligned as you can keep things. And so, that's been a general rule for me, and it's worked out pretty well. So, we've done well with our real estate investments. My wife went out and got her real estate license to kind of complement what we were doing in by way of the investments, but also to take a direction of her own in her own career path. And so that's been cool for her as well. So, there's a lot coming. I really have always had this mindset to contribute and to help people. And I have this want and desire to help people understand that there's more in store for them than what they think, right? Like, as a kid growing up the way that I did, going through the troubles that I had, I always thought that, the opportunities to become successful were for other people. They weren't for me. So when the teacher would say to the classroom, you can be anything you want to be as long as you work hard at it. I would look at the rest of the classroom and be like, hey guys, she's talking to you. Pay attention, because there ain't no way she's talking to me. And what I realize now is that she was talking to all of us. And so the people that are sitting in the classrooms thinking the same thing that I was thinking then, those are the people I want to reach. I want them to know that they have more in store for themselves as well. And if they just put the effort in, they can win.
Yeah, you know what? She was actually talking to you.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
my guess is that you are one of the few that actually took that message and did something with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I didn't do anything with it for a long time, but I had my share of crossroads. But it is something that I think people in certain situations tend to suppress that feeling of greatness that's in them, because the logic and data, or the examples they have in front of them, discourage them from taking chances that they'd otherwise be willing and ready to take.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm on a pursuit of helping people eliminate their self-loathing beliefs.
Yes, and I want to talk more about that and your podcast for sure. But I want to ask you a question specific for, real estate agents who might not be able to really find that passion. It's a tough business, right? It's a tough business. 80 to 90% of new real estate agents are out of the business in the first 3 years. That's dismal. That is not good. People have put all their eggs in one basket in many cases. Like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to become a realtor and a successful agent. And 80 to 90% of the time, it doesn't work. That's discouraging. What would be a few things, given your experiences in starting a business? Yes, a roofing business, but you even said it yourself. You got started in sales and marketing. And
Yeah,
that's where you figured out, okay, well, now I can do this in roofing.
yeah.
What advice would you give people who are just getting started out on a few success principles in order to get to a successful business?
Yeah, for sure. And in real estate, this one works really well. So again, it's funny you mentioned that it's not a sales business, but there is a lot to selling yourself. And so I would say it's not a sales business as much as it is a charm business. Okay. And so you do need to be out in the public. So I would say the first thing is show up. Build relationships, and this is a very strategic way to create referral partnerships with anyone. And don't be so narrow-minded when you create these, because you could create these referral partnerships with landscapers, with roofers, with anybody. With anyone, you can create these partnerships. And this is the way you do it, right? You take them to lunch, take them to coffee, take them to whatever, right? This is the question that you'll want to ask at the end. After you've gone through the conversation, you say to them, "Hey, Jim, when someone asks you right now for a recommendation for a realtor, who are you sending them to right now?" Right. And so now you've asked them a question. Who are they sending them to? And so they might say, "I'm not sending them to anybody." Right. They might say, "I'm sending them to, Craig Smith." Right. And this is what you say, regardless of what he says. You say, "What would it take for me to earn some of those referrals? What would it take for me to earn some of that business?" Now, you're not asking them for the business. You're not even asking them to switch. You're saying, "What would it take for me to earn some of that business?" So now you're reverse engineering this. You're asking him to tell you what it would take to get that business. And so what's great about this is they'll tell you, "Well, it's going to take a trip to Mars." Well, okay, now you can move on. Now you can stop barking up that tree. Well, I'll tell you what, you send me 2 landscaping referrals, and, regardless of whether I sell them or not, I'll be sure to keep your name, in rotation on the people that I'm sending, to realtors. So now you've created that partnership. That question can be very powerful. And so the other thing I would just say is just show up in your community, be present, man. The number one thing that happened when COVID happened and quarantine happened in our area is, it's crazy that the president of our realtor association told people to stop posting on social media. They said, we're rubbing it in the other professions' faces that we are considered effective or essential. And so stop posting. And I was like, everybody I was talking to, I said, ignore that right now. They need to know that you are active. They need to know that you are operational. And if you can't come up with a way to be creative and show people that you are out here being operational, then that's what you need to work on, because you need to be present in your community. You need people to know that you are out here working.
Yeah, being the local expert. You guys that are hearing that, that's exactly what we talk about. Like, be the local expert, be out in your community, be providing value. That's a perfect example. Like, no, guess what? If you're thinking about buying or selling, we as real estate agents, we as realtors are essential. We can still help you, even if it's simply to get information. But those are two, really, really big things. And I love that question and asking,
Yeah.
because every new relationship is a whole new set of potential relationships.
Yep.
And
They
we
said
call
the
that
average
taproot.
Yeah, I think they said the average person, and I don't know where they're getting this number from because I got way more contacts in my phone than this, but they said the average person has 300 contacts in their phone. So if you think about that, right? If you just start creating referral partnerships, and again, I think we get too narrow-minded. It's so crazy how I watch so many realtors come into the game and then they only network with other realtors, mortgage lenders. I'm like, these people aren't going to send you business. They're already sending people business. You have to create these referral partnerships more strategically than that. And the other thing that I would say, just as an example, is showing up. I'll give Zach Faust a little shout out here. He's the owner of the brokerage that my wife is at, and this guy, when they told all the realtors in this area to stay quiet, stop acting like we're in business, like what? This guy and his team, they would show up every single day on social media giving coffee to first responders and people on the front lines, showing up to the local hospitals and donating coffees and showing up with, like, I mean, it was every single moment you were seeing them somewhere else, donating coffee or teas or whatever it might be to people that were out there grinding during COVID. And so it was just a way for them to stay top of mind, right? I mean, they meant to do good by their contributions, but think about this. They were staying top of mind with everybody on their social media feeds because they were showing up and doing what they were doing. So
Yeah, and they loved to do it. So
right.
if you're listening to this and you're watching this and you're like, "Yeah, but I don't know, that's not me." That's okay. That doesn't have to be you, but something like that. What is your arena? Is it in sports? Is it in the arts, religion, whatever it is for you to focus on your community? Everybody that I know that's in high level marketing and sales and charm, I like that, as you said earlier, Bobby, is is all about providing value, right? And anyways, we could go on and on about that. So what do you have going on now, man? You got the roofing company, you have the marketing company. Like what are you doing now? What's your big project now?
All right. So we're actually on the verge. I guess I could talk about this, but I'm on the verge of a partnership in a mastermind company. So again, this you're going to see this all comes back to relationships so often. I'm a partner in Master Networks. I'm a partner in a mastermind company where we really help dive deep with people to work on what they can accomplish. The thing that's next for me that's just so near and dear to my heart is me and my buddy Travis Ritchie out of LA. We're working on a course creation program where we're going to be developing and producing courses directly to inmates across the country inside the prison systems through their tablets. And so we're going to bring them a lot of the training that we're talking about right now, that's more in the entrepreneurial space or in the sales space. And we're going to bring it to them so that they can succeed upon reentry. This is something that's very important to me. And so I'm really excited about that. That's going to be Q1 of 2023 that we're going to be working on that. Other than that, right now, the podcast has been real fun. I've been able to connect with some high level people. Jeff, can't wait to have you on the show. But I've been able to connect with some really high level people on there. And what's great about that is, again, the connections are great. But man, when I can bring the advice of somebody who's been in the trenches to my audience, I mean, it's so awesome to be able to share that info. That and we're really just diving deep into the video area. So we've brought on some interns here. We've created a video marketing business here where we're starting to offer content creation to local businesses in our area. And so these guys are really kicking butt, and I'm really excited about that as well. So it's a lot of fun stuff. I mean, again, these businesses, the video marketing, we talked about synergy earlier, and making sure that these businesses make sense. If you're in sales or in business in any way and you're not in the personal development space, you're probably wrong, right? Because you've got to be constantly growing as an individual in order for you to expect your business to grow and for your level of service to your people to grow, right? And so that plus, having the synergy between Brightside and a video marketing business so that we constantly have content created for that. The other thing, and again, it's crazy how redundant the word relationships can be in this, but I would tell you that, when it comes to relationships, think about the value that you bring to each one of your clients as a real estate agent when you have the landscaper that you created the strategic partnership, right? So you have people relocating to your area and they call you because now you've earned trust. You've got them through their closing process and they call you and say, "Hey, do you know a painter? Do you know a landscaper? Do you know an electrician? They're always asking these questions. The best thing that you can do is have people to give them, right? Because what's happening is you're bringing value to the relationship. By having those other connections, you're bringing value to this relationship. And then the other thing that's happening is think about this on the flip side, all the other people that you're bringing these referrals to, you're bringing value to that relationship, right? So, how powerful is it to be able to control that lead source, that pathway? So, you've got a client or a customer who now calls you for everything. And how powerful that can that be to be able to feed them someone every single time? It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and and we have to understand it. Again, we throw around the word relationships and entrepreneur a lot, but there's a reason for that, is because they really do go hand in hand. Now, especially as a new agent getting started, right? It's like you talked about how many contacts are in your phone. That's one way to get, a real good feel for who all your contacts are. But there's a lot of people that you don't know that are out there that own homes. We can all
Sure.
agree upon that. Our job is to go out and find those people, meet them, build relationships by providing value. And when the time comes that they're ready to buy or sell, you should be top of mind. So Bobby mentioned a few ways to be able to do that. If you guys want some more ways to be able to do that, there's a link down below. You can get my free ebook. It's a launch guide. It's going to give you the first 10 steps that you need once you get your license to launch your business. We talk about relationships in there. We talk about strategic partnerships. We talk about entrepreneurialism and having that mindset. So it's super cool that you brought all of that up and kind of really brought it all in together. So tell me more about this program, um, with the prison system and like the mindset behind that. I think
Yeah.
this is really cool.
So again, kind of rewinding onto my story, I went to prison I went to juvenile facilities at the age of 14. I did 2 years in a juvenile facility from 14 to 16, and then at 17, I was arrested and charged as an adult, and then went to jail at 18, adult prison at 18. So I was in and out of prison until I was about 22 years old when I, just took ownership over my life, stopped being a victim, and just move forward. And so what's interesting is, I have family that didn't, rebound or didn't even get the opportunity back then, made a mistake and are still in prison as a result. And so I stayed in contact. And one day I'm on the phone with one of my relatives, and, I try to, bring some positivity to their life as best as I can. And they were telling me about their new tablet system that was implemented into the prison. And right away, I had this brilliant idea. I was like, what if we were able to bring this content directly to the tablets inside the prison system, right? And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, wait, think about this. Not only is this a great idea from a content availability standpoint or accessibility standpoint, but how about the fact that we've got so many programs being, I say, partially implemented inside the prison systems that now have to be staffed by somebody who's facilitating a curriculum. Then you have guards that are protecting that person, right? And they're all understaffed, and they're all, not, I don't want to take a shot at anybody, but they're probably not the best facilitators of the courses, or they probably wouldn't be working in the prison system, right? So then you have this partially watered down curriculum that will eventually get to a couple of inmates. All the while, there's a lot of risk. What if we were able to bring them that same content facilitated by excellent facilitators, remove the risk factor, and then scale that? Because now we can deliver it to so many more inmates at a time versus the way that we were delivering the same course before. And then have a probation officer or somebody who's, able to monitor their progress on, the required courses. Like sometimes people are sentenced for a violent crime and they're required to take anger management, or maybe they're in there for a drug charge and they're required to complete a certain rehab program. Or, you also have, just other kind of courses, and some sentences require GEDs. I mean, everything's right. So what if you had these courses available to these inmates right there on the tablets? And then to take that a step further, you've got people that are going to be home in a couple of years. Why wouldn't we try to teach them the power of sales or the power of marketing, or maybe even how to use Microsoft Excel, or some of these things that we all take for granted because we're so familiar with them? But how about how to use an iPhone for the person that just did 15 years, right? How do you, like, I know. And so there's people out here that are like, well, what's the point? Well, listen, they're coming back into our society. They're coming back into our communities. So do they deserve this? Absolutely, because they're coming back into our community. And if we're, really a world that believes in second chances, then we need to understand that, if we don't arm these people with more information and better prepare them for reentry, well, then they're going to reoffend. And that's not good for our communities. That's not good for our society. So I think that if we can be, a little bit ahead of the eight ball there, we can better prepare them, and they can be contributing members to our society. So that's what this whole program's about. And again, it's right up my alley. It's something that I believed in. I was able to partner with the guy, Travis Ritchie out of LA, who, believe it or not, we connected by a chance. But again, I believe in relationships so much that I didn't just let the relationship passed me by. We got involved, we talked, we nurtured the relationship, and through that, I learned that he had been working for the last 9 years on relationships inside the prison system and had been putting his content onto tablets across the prison system, across the country through these tablets. And so this is where this whole thing just came, the rubber met the road and we started to gain speed on it. So Q1 of next year, we're going to be full speed ahead. And I'm really excited about that.
Oh, congratulations. So like that is it's so cool, and it goes full circle back to what you said before about like, and we've talked about this, is really understanding your true self. In other words, your business will only grow to the level that you do. So starting to understand that and really know when it wraps back to relationships, I like to call that a serendipitous, meaningful collision. You said you
Yes.
hadn't talked to him in 7 years,
Uh,
or
who's that?
Travis?
No, 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 no. I'm saying he had been putting in the work for the. I just met him in 2020. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
but
gotcha, gotcha. But
for the last, 7, 9 years, I think it is, he's been working on, infiltrating these facilities with this type of content. So,
where'd you meet him?
I met him through another podcaster who had done 5 years in prison, came home and started one of the most successful podcasts there are, and, they ended up partnering on a podcast called Convicted Life, which was
Uh-huh.
a podcast done, directly for inmates. So this was the first podcast of its kind. It was built and developed specifically for the prison system, and so I was a guest on that podcast, and that's where, this whole course creation conversation really took speed.
Man, you are doing some amazing things out in the world.
We're
And
trying, man.
whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, definitely go follow Bobby on Instagram. His handle's right down on there. Obviously, if you just pop on Instagram, you can take a screenshot, you can rewind, whatever you need to do. I'll leave it up there. And again, I will put all of the links down below in the comment section. I want you guys to ask your questions, whether they're specific for me, whether they're for Bobby. All of your comments are encouraged. I do reply to every single one. So definitely let us hear from you guys, what you have. Give Bobby a follow on Instagram. We're not done yet.
Oh,
We're
no.
not done yet. We
Yes,
got all
sir.
kinds of stuff to talk about.
That's right.
Uh, what's really cool about the podcast and what's led you to this podcast is you didn't once mention the monetary um, potential. Um, what does that look like? The business model around this, because we know it's coming from a place of sincerity, of genuine, is genuinity a word? Of genuine, it's from the heart, it's close to you, it's who you are, it's part of your true authentic self that you've embraced, you haven't suppressed, that you can then share out, that's created these opportunities. So um
Are you talking about monetizing the content in the tablets in the prison system?
yeah, I mean, that is a huge, huge business model. And I ask
Yeah.
that because real estate agents need to think bigger than just helping people buy and sell homes, building
Oh,
the relationships, but also the opportunities that can potentially come from this. You
oh,
started
yeah.
as a roofer who had previously been in prison, and I don't say that in a negative way, a roofer. But now look at what you're doing. It's coming all full circle back to what happened, in your life more than what, 15 years ago
Yeah,
ish. Like
yeah.
how crazy like, it's so cool because it's part of who you are,
Right,
and I
right,
stress
and,
that so much.
I'm glad you said it the way you said it there, Jeff, because, it's funny, I love Brian Tracy's statement. He says, "The very best way for me to help the homeless is not to become one of them," right? And so so, you gotta make money while you're contributing and while you're helping. So, what's interesting about the model there, it's actually 2 different models that we are considering. So one of which is we can sell and market these courses directly through the tablets and through some other platforms to the inmates directly, or we can partner with another company where we're just doing the course creation and they will pay us for the courses. So one long term has a better reward because we feel like if we are the ones that are developing and creating these courses, we will have some better opportunities. Let me leave it at that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That is so great. Uh, so your wife's a real estate agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's uh what's her secret sauce?
Again, it's funny, it's funny because, I think to me, like when I'm thinking about like some of the things that, she's doing as she's getting started, I'm like, I wanna tell her, I wanna tell her some things. And I'm like, I don't, but when it's your wife and she's so close to you, you can't just always go to this place of, I want to advise her the way that I would advise a new agent that came to me and asked me for advice. So I always have to start out every conversation with, babe, before we get into this, am I just hearing you right now, or do you want me to provide solutions? And she'll tell me, she'll be like, no, right now, I just need you to hear me. I'm like, cool, I could do that. So that's helped our relationship quite a bit. But it's interesting too, because, she's heard me have these conversations with other people. And in doing so, she's listened. She's consumed my content before. And so I'll hear her talking to other agents and telling them to do stuff. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's like verbatim from podcast episode number 8, at time block 18 minutes and 36 seconds. But no, it's great because I do see her using a lot of those things. What's interesting is, relationships always win, and she knows to scale her relationships. It's one of the things that I know that you're teaching your listeners and the people that are following you here, Jeff, is that, we talk about the power of relationship, but the only way to scale those efforts, I talk to you guys about taking somebody to lunch and asking them this power question, right? Well, you can only do that so much, right? So the only way that you can scale building rapport is through video content, right? And so what I mean by that is people choose to do business with people that they know, like, and trust, right? Well, the only way for them to know, like, and trust you is for you to let them peek into your life, for them to peek into your world and who you are as a person. So by getting on video and showing your true, genuine self, right, you get to scale rapport building, right? Now, you might not be building rapport with the people on the other side because you're not getting to know them right away, but they are building rapport with you. And so when they see you at an event, they're going to be that much more comfortable to approach you because they know who you are through your content. And so I say all that to say this: my wife created a podcast called The Real T. It's a cool podcast. It's her and 4 other female agents from her brokerage, and they talk about pretty much everything but real estate on it. And it's cool because they do talk about the challenges of, women in real estate, what, has been a mainly male dominated industry for a long time, and women are crushing it in it every single day. But there are certain challenges that women face that I don't think is talked about as publicly as it should. And so it's cool to see them open up those doors for conversation and just have a bunch of fun on screen. So that's been really cool to watch her, because she's a mainly introverted person. And so for her to be on this podcast just letting loose, it's cool to see.
I love that. She's hearing, she's listening, she's watched your podcast. She knows it's coming from who you are and it has all great intentions. But nobody really ever wants to be told what to do unless they ask. So that is will you repeat that question that you have asked your spouse, which is so powerful in your relationships with those closest to you? But I also want you guys that are watching and listening to think about how this applies in your business. Go ahead, Bobby. What is it?
Yeah, and I'll just preface it with this too, Jeff. We all want to help. So impulsively, you're going to want to jump at the opportunity to help even the closest people to you. So, when my wife starts to vent to me about anything or talk to me about anything, I try to ask her this every time beforehand, and I say, "Babe, before we get into this, are you asking for possible solutions? Do you want me to try to help here, or am I just here to listen?" And she'll tell me one way or the other, no, you're here to listen, or yeah, I actually would like to hear a couple of solution options. And so that saved me a ton of grief, because there's nothing worse than because sometimes they know what they need to do, but they're letting out steam and they're saying to you, this and this and this and this. And then the last thing they want to hear is, well, what you need to do is this, and this. So save yourself some grief and ask that question ahead of time.
Mr. and Mrs. Seller, would you like for me to provide an answer to you, or would you like to simply discuss this particular situation with your home inspection?
Mhm. Yeah.
There's a great example. You know, this is what's called modeling. So you mentioned video. I
Yes.
think it's important to talk about because correct me if I'm wrong, video has actually been a tool, a resource that you've used to build these businesses and to really figure out who you are and be able to express it on a bigger platform. Is that a pretty accurate statement?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, video is huge because, like I said, this is your way to scale rapport building and relationship building and charm and all those things, right? Because if you're a likable person, right, and then you're a likable person on screen. And so just being yourself, being genuine, people know when you're on screen. And you ever seen those cheesy car commercials and the best salesperson at the car dealership is the one reading the script of the commercial? Like
Yes.
I have no idea what that person actually sounds like in real life because that ain't no way that's how he talks,
That's
right?
right.
I think the most important thing is just to be your natural self. You're gonna make mistakes. That's great. People want to see if you didn't make mistakes, they're gonna be like, this person's a robot. Like they want to know that you make mistakes. That's there for them to be relatable and to see that you are relatable. So for me, I know that I mean, obviously this is a great example of it. Jeff's crushing it here and can be a great mentor to all of you. But video is critical because what's going to be consistent moving forward is the fact that, we're going to be consuming video content. The video content might be delivered to us differently. Like one day it might just be like this hologram right in front of me, but it's going to be captured by a camera. It's going to be delivered through some kind of internet connection, and you're going to be consuming it. So be into it and learn what you can do to scale your efforts through it now, because there's a lot of things. I mean, think about what you just said, Jeff, in modeling, right? Well, when you come up with a great model for your business, whether it be a pitch on a first time or not a first time home buyer or a for sale by owner, and you've got a great pitch for them moving forward, man, document it. Because when you want to teach that to your team, having this model and this example of you doing it on video, that's the best way, because now instead of them having to call you and say, what did you say at this part? No, they've got a video to refer to. So this can help in a lot of ways in scaling.
Yeah, definitely. So what would you say where would somebody start? If they wanted to start with video, where specifically should they start?
For me, in my opinion, and especially when it comes to real estate, I still think Facebook's the place to be. It depends on what you want to do with the video content. If you're going to put ads together and you're going to get super targeted, then YouTube's the way to go, I think, in my opinion, because you can be super specific and you can target it a lot more specifically on YouTube. So it's going to depend on your intent. But if you're just getting started, the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to do Facebook and Instagram stories, because you might be nervous about the content, you might be like a little bit apprehensive about posting it. Well, guess what? Instagram and Facebook stories disappear in 24 hours. So it's only going to live there for 24 hours. So if you want to start by creating a few short clips and posting them on your Instagram stories to get comfortable and familiar, then by all means do so. But I just think that, becoming comfortable, also just document. I said this on stage at Video Marketing World. You guys are already doing cool stuff, right? You do not have to rethink the wheel and come up with these crazy creative content ideas. You can just document the already cool stuff that you're already doing every single day. Like, you might not think that your workout routine at the beginning of the day or your morning routine at the beginning of your day is interesting. It is. People want to see that. So, just document what you're already doing. It's cool enough. Get it out there. People want to build rapport with you. They want to know who you are.
Yeah, you just nailed it. And did you just receive an award pretty recently that was specifically related to video?
Yeah, the Dark Horse Award at Video Marketing World for producing $250,000 in revenue directly from video. It was actually a lot more than that, but I didn't even know that that was an award. I didn't even know that they had asked me, and it was funny because I was super specific. They asked me, like, how much video or how much revenue have you produced from video content? I was like, I can get that for you by the end of the day. And I literally sent them the exact dollar amount of what I had done over the last year and then over the last 6 years. And they were like, whoa. And so when I got the award, I realized what that information was for. So
Oh, wow.
great.
That's great. So you didn't even really know, it was just to document it. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, that you Video. Like we're doing video right now. There's a whole purpose behind this. Here's the thing. If you're not shooting video, I think it's because you haven't really figured out who you are.
Yeah.
And it's hard because it's hard to share your message, your gift with the world if you're not really comfortable who you are, which means you don't really know. That's why we're uncomfortable in so many
Ooh.
cases with like, who am I? I know me as an athlete, like we'll call me. There's never a retired athlete, but at 51 years old, it's a lot different than what I could do at 19, 20 years old on a college football scholarship going to school to play. When I lost that identity, that was tough. That was a really tough time in my life. So I've had to figure out who I am. And Bobby, you even mentioned this earlier, like it changes over time. The only way that it can change is if we figure out where we're at right now. So if
Yeah.
you're trying to figure out where it's at, you know what? You have one of these. There's a little red button on there that's to record, and start recording some video. Document.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about so much about the how you're going to do it and this, that, and the other thing. There's a ton of platforms out there. You can contact me about it if you want, comment. We'll get you connected with what you need to start creating more content. But you got to figure out, who you are.
Yeah,
So
I wanna say this real quick, Jeff. I have 130,000 subscribers on our followers on TikTok. And it's funny, I've got all these I've got black magic cameras all around my studio. I've got the top-notch stuff. But my most viewed video on my TikTok was shot with my cell phone. And I didn't even have my team with me, my video, my video team. I literally said, "Hey guys, I got an idea. I'm gonna do this on my own on my phone. I'm gonna go do it and we'll just see how it works out." 1.9 million views later, I was like, it was crazy. And that video on my cell phone added like 45,000 followers on my TikTok. And so, we do overthink things. That goes back to a lot of different things. We talk about this in business too. Like the stars do not have to align. Okay. Everything's not going to be perfect. And you talk about these business owners all the time that did get the business loan and had all the money up front, and they built out their retail operation and had the great website and had everything looking perfect. Everything was great. And they thought they were just going to turn their open sign on and just business was going to come running in, right? It never happens. You got to start putting in the work. And that's it. The repetition, the time behind or in front of the camera is what's going to help you be better at it. And so we could talk about this a ton. I don't want to eat up the time, but when you talk about like once you finally get in a position like what Jeff's doing here, right? When you truly believe in your message, then you owe it to the people to be on camera and telling it, right? Think about this. If you were at a football game, and I don't know if everybody here's a football fan, but if you were in a football game and you were in a stadium and you've realized that there's a bomb next to you over here on some seats, right? But there also happens to be like the main speaker intercom right there. Would you hesitate at all to go over the intercom and tell everybody that we had to exit the premises? No, because the message is that powerful. It's a life altering message. And so if you have a life altering message, if you think that you are the best at what you are doing, then you have a moral obligation to get on screen and deliver that message to the people that need to hear it.
yeah, isn't that the truth? So we could, and we should get back together again. We'll
Yeah.
talk specifically on video. I mean, you have 130,000 followers on TikTok. Ironically enough, I just did a TikTok. You can go check it out at the Modern Agent Guy on TikTok, where I was at the Broncos, the Denver Broncos, Washington football team. I grew up in the Washington D.C. area, so it's been my team my whole life. Where they retired Peyton Manning into the Broncos Wall of Fame,
Oh,
which
nice.
was really, really cool. But like, so I totally get that analogy. Um,
Gotcha.
just get started on it. But yeah, no, that's super cool. But yeah, short form content, especially you guys, like just start shooting and documenting this stuff. Um, get into some video, build relationships with people, really get an understanding of who you are. And for those of you who are still watching live, write this down. For those of you who are watching the replay, write this down too. Is your business will only grow to the level that you do,
Yeah.
right? And so really start working on that. All right, well, Bobby, we're right about at the top of the hour, my friend. Any parting words, anything you'd like to say? And we'll get going here.
No, I just say again, guys, you're doing cool stuff already. Just document it, show the world what you're doing, because you have the stage to do it. So show people that you are doing cool stuff already. And I just want to say that I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be on your show, Jeff. Appreciate it, and I appreciate the listeners and your audience's time. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bobby, for being here. Thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure. Once again, I'm Jeff Ruby, the Modern Agent. I help real estate agents launch, build, and scale profitable businesses. And until next time, see ya.